Hello everyone, it's Amy and I am here for week 8 of Build Your Stash and Craft. And this week we are going to build a pin board or a tack board. And what we needed was 3 pieces of cardboard. Now I measured this cardboard to fit inside of my roll top desk so that I could put this inside there and put my little notes on here. And this box, I didn't want just like this square. I wanted it a little bit longer, so I did use the flap. So what I did with my 3 pieces was I put one flap this way, one flap that way, and then one flap this way, so that it would, once I put it together, it will be solid. If you put all 3 flaps on one side, then it will still want to bend. So cut your boards to whatever size that you want, and then the easiest way, we need to put a string on it so that we can hang it, and it's best to do that before we glue them together. At least I think so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down on each side, if I can find my inch. There we go. And I'm going to go close to the edge, and I'm going to come down about 2 inches. 2 inches from each side. You don't want to go down too far, or when you try and hang your board, it will want to flip forward. So I'm just lining up my marker on each side and marking it at 2 inches. And then I'm just going to use my knife and right here where I marked it, there is a ridge, so I'm going to go just above that ridge. Now I want to make sure that I've got my boards nice and even, and I'm just going to kind of put a hole in there and come over to the other side and do the same thing. And then I'm just going to take one of my paintbrushes and just push down in there. Kind of popped through the next layer. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I heard that pop through the next layer. There we go. And I'm going to take my knife and kind of carve that out a bit. And then I just heard that pop through the other level. And I'm going to, well, I guess I don't have to keep that on top now. Go over here and use my knife. And then push that down. And I didn't hear that one pop into the next layer. It didn't. There we go. And then I'm just going to use my knife and make sure that when you get on this bottom layers that you don't cut through onto something that's important. I have just a pad of paper here. Then I'm just going to try and pop that through the other side. If I can get just even a little hole started there, then there we go. Get a little hole started in this side. And then put that through there. I'm going to take this because it's nice and round, and I'm just going to go around like that, and it makes me a really nice round little hole. And I'm going up to the wider, oops, these are great, aren't they? They still work. I'm going up to the wider part. I might as well leave that off for right now. I'm going to put this one on here and do the same thing. Go. That's giving us a really nice hole there to put our string through. And there we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all these 3 layers together. They don't have to be glued together like super solid, we're also going to tape them together with our duct tape, but I do like to have just a little bit of the glue, and I'm just going to put it, and I'm just opening my glue up and kind of dumping it out. It's easier. I'm only going to go around the edges. Well, maybe a little in the middle on the back one. I really don't want my pins going into this glue because that glue could get really hard and your pin won't want to push into it. So make sure that I have them lined up. A good way to line them up is to put your pencil through there and make sure that your holes are lined up. There we go. Give that a bit of a push and then go around the edge here. Oh, I'm running out of my glue. Whoops. Well, it's also tacky glue, so it just loves to, it's so thick. It loves to get caught at the bottom of the bottle. Okay, that's all I need of that. Put my last one on top. Make sure that I've got them lined up well. There we go. And there we go. That's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around all four edges with my duct tape, which I should have opened, to hold them nicely together. And just make sure that you center it so that you have a good amount of tape on each side. I am going to start with the top and the bottom. I'm going to tape it to itself. Okay, so first I'm just going to put it right on there and press that down. And then again, I'm going to check and make sure that I am lined up, and I am. And now I'll come over the top. Give that a good press into the top. I'm going to turn it over so that I can make sure that I press my cardboards together really well. Give this a pull as I'm pushing it down. That will make it nice and tight. And there we go. There, now this is not for decoration, this is just to hold it together, just to make it nice and sturdy. Now I'm going to do the other side. And your scissors are going to stick because it's duct tape. When you can't go any further, take it apart and then just rip it. Duct tape is made with fibers, and those fibers run up and down this way, and so it rips very easily. And I'm just going to line this up with one of the lines in my corrugated cardboard here. Give that a good press. Make sure that I push my cardboard down. Hold it together as I wrap over the top. Burnish that in really well. Flip it over. I'm going to do the other two sides, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I have the tape all the way around it. After I taped the sides, I went ahead and used my knife and put a little hole in the tape on both sides, and then I used my paintbrush handle to push through there to give me a nice good hole. Now, this tape is really sticky, so I had to go wash my scissors. And whenever you wash your scissors, I used a little dish soap and hot water, but don't ever run your hand this way, because even though these came from the Dollar Tree, they're sharp. And if you run your hand this way, you will slice your finger or your thumb. So when I washed my scissors, I started at the dull edge of the scissors and I washed this way. Just pushed and pushed and pushed, but I never ran my hand this way, even though, that's it's tempting to do that because you can get a much longer swipe going like that, but you just push it like this and eventually it will come off. Even when you wipe it, be very careful. And I always wipe that way. Even with your towel, if you go like this, it can go right through your towel and right into your finger. So always wipe your blades from top to bottom, never the length of the blade. And then after I wash my scissors, I usually kind of leave them open and set them up like this and just let them sit for a while because they're going to be wet. And then I go in, sometimes water will drip, and I go in and I wipe them a little bit because you don't want your scissors to rust, and probably these will rust. So, but that's how I cleaned it. I also got the sticky stuff on my the handle to my paintbrush, so I'll have to clean that off later too. Okay, now I cut 2 pieces of string that are about 5 inches longer on each end so that I have enough room to tie it. And then in order to thread that through that hole, because that's a deep hole and your thread is soft, and if you didn't buy this kind of thread, your baker's twine will work just fine. I have 2 pieces of it because I want it to be heavy. And then I just took my masking tape, just took a little piece of masking tape, put my thread string in the middle, fold it in half, and then just use my scissors, make it wider at the bottom, and go right straight up to a point at the top of that string. And so that's your needle to thread through. And actually, I'll pull this all the way back through. I like the looks of this side, so I want this to be, oh, that would have been right. I want this to be my back. All right, so I want my string on the back. So I'm going to go through on this side, and then I'm going to go through over here on this side. Kind of even it up. That looks about even. And then I am just going to tie a knot. And if you leave that, since you have 2 pieces of string especially, and I'm leaving the knot here at the back, leave that masking tape on there, and it will make it so much easier for you to put your thread through, or string. There we go. I'm just going to let that hang down there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this as tight as I can, because first off, you're not going to get it completely tight. You don't want to say, oh, well, I think I want this much, so I'm going to make it that loose, because if you make it that loose, what's going to happen when you're done is it's going to be way up here. So I don't like mine to hang above my board, and it still might, but I'm going to make this as tight as I can, try and keep it tight as I'm tying my knot. And it's still going to stretch when I hang it. And I just like to tie 3 or 4 knots, however many you want. You don't want to get too many, I guess, because you don't want a great big huge, blob there on the back. And see, that's already loose a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so this is what I'm going to hang it with. That works out really well. It comes right to there, so I'm happy with that, because eventually it will stretch. So now we've got our way to hang it, and we've got it all solid and put together. Now we are going to take whatever material we decided to use. I'm going to cut the tag off of this towel. You know, like I said, if you have an old t-shirt, anything that you have, you can put on here. And then this towel has wide ridges on this side and it's flatter on this side. I like the flat side. That's just a visual choice. It has nothing to do with the towel itself or, you know, like right or wrong or anything. And I'm just going to basically try and make sure that I've got this centered. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to just tape it down. Okay, and at the top we don't want to tape down our string. And I have found that this does rip as easy as the regular duct tape, so be better if you rip it. Now you can also glue this if you want to. I'm not straight, so I want to straighten it a little bit. You don't have to tape it, or you can glue it and tape it. I'm going to tape it because I want to be able to take it off if my cardboard gets too many holes in it and it just doesn't seem to be holding things anymore, which that will take a long, I mean, you'd have to put your pins in and out a lot, but just in case I want to change it, I don't have to just throw this towel away. I can just take it off, cut a new piece of cardboard exactly the same size, and put it right back on there again. Okay, so I'm going to want to make sure that this is under my string, and I am going to cut it. Well, I'm going to have to turn it back this way so that I'm going to cut it just inside this line so that it will fold, and not all the way, just enough to fit it underneath. Just enough that I can fit it underneath here, like that. I'm going to have a piece just about that long. Now this is the tricky part because I wanted to get up under that string, but I'm going to try putting it on here so that the cardboard can act as my second hand, or third hand, I guess I should say. And then pull this down and lift this up. Just trying to pull my material down before I actually make my tape be solid on it. And there we go. Give that a really good press. And like I said, you can glue your material down. It may hold better. I'm not exactly sure how well this duct tape will hold, but you know, it's all folded together. It's going to be on the back. It should hold fairly well. And I want to make sure that my front looks good before I go any further, and it does. Okay. So now for the sides, I'm going to cut this corner off. I want to leave some here. I don't want to cut it all the way to the top because I don't want that to show. But I want to get this material out of my way. Like that. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Come down so that I've got a little bit left here. And then get that out of my way. There we go. All right, so now when I fold it in, I want to kind of pull this in like to make a little, whoops, sorry. I want to pull this in to make a little bit of an angle, like this. And then hold that down and pull that over. that is how I'm going to want to tape it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that. I'll let it go for a minute. I'm going to hold that down with a thumbtack. Just like this. There we go. And then I'm going to take this bottom one, fold this in just a little bit, push this corner down, pull it up, and that's how I'm going to tape it. And I'm going to hold that with a thumbtack. I'm going to leave those thumbtacks in there even when I tape it. And I am going to tape it here and all the way down here, but I'm going to leave a little space here to let the string move up and down a little bit. I'm going to do both sides and I'll be back. I'm going to just show you these two corners again, just to pull your corner in like that, hold this down, and tip this up. I figured it would just take a second. And again, take this corner, bring it down, and I got a little close to the edge right here. I really didn't want to be that close, but that's what I did. So, because that could stick out. And so I think what I'll do is I'll put a little piece of tape on that before I pin this corner. And as a matter of fact, I have a piece right here. So long as I don't shake the camera too much. I'm going to put this on there and pull it up just a little bit. There we go. Because I just don't want that to fray. And then pull this, put this corner down, fold that in. I didn't fold it in as much as I want, so I'm going to fold it in a little more. Go like that and put the pin in. Okay, now I'll be back after I tape it. Okay, I'm back and we're just going to make our tacks now. And I just have my nail polishes here. I have my nail polish from the beginning of our series. And then I have the new ones that I just bought this week. And I think I'll give them all a shake. I should have done this before we started. But, yeah, we're just going to, I put our tacks on a piece of cardboard, and then I left them stick up just a little bit. Let's see. Because I don't want them to stick to the cardboard if the nail polish runs off the edge. And also that'll be easy to get them off and to get around the edges. And I don't know that if it got on the cardboard and then when you took it off, I don't know if it might peel the nail polish off. I don't know about that. So, but it's just as easy as that. And then you can, I've got the glitter nail polishes that you can just leave your tack gold. Oh, I put way too much on that one, but that's okay because it gives it kind of a little bit of a raised. I want to get it to the edge there. It gives it kind of a raised look. And then you can use them just like this. You can use them as the center of a flower. You can attach something to them. And at that point you wouldn't actually need to even paint them, but you can make tacks with, like I made one with a butterfly on it, and I'll show you that in just a second. But this is just as easy as it gets. You just paint it on there. Because you're painting it on thick, or I have painted it on thick, I guess you could do 2 or 3 thin coats, and they might dry faster. So the biggest thing is just let them sit and dry until they're completely dry. Now this glitter one kind of wanted to put the glitter all in one spot, so I had to get it spread out there. You can also take them and just take like a big drip of one color. Just drip it right on there. and then take another drip of another color, and then you could just like use a pin or something like that. So I've got both colors there, and then you can just take a pin and mix them around. Mix the two colors together. I didn't get enough on there, so let's put a little bit more. And if you have two really, my colors are very close to the same color because they came as a set. But if you have two real contrasting colors, let's say like red and yellow or something, they will really look marbled, but that makes it look kind of marbled. But they look really pretty. They'll look really good to tack stuff to your board. And then we'll just set that aside to dry. And the different things that I've done with them is I've used them for flower centers. And then I had some of that, I had pulled off a piece of that duct tape, and I had it stuck here because I had ripped it wrong. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do with that? Because it's so sticky. I stuck it on a piece of paper and I cut it out like a flower and went around it with a black Sharpie. And that's just a plain tack, not even decorated. There's one with the sparkles in it. There's one of the grays. I guess that's the turquoisey one in the gray. I went ahead and I actually stuck a butterfly to the tack. So then I have a butterfly tack. I have one here that after it dried, I used my little white, correction thing and my black Sharpie, and I just put some dots on it. This one I did the green and let it dry and then put gold glitter on top of it. So there's lots of things that you can do with them. And here is my completed tack board, and I had just I made some flowers out of my painty paper, and I just put those on there kind of as decoration, but you know, I can also use them to just pin something on there. You know, they're kind of big to get a hold of, but I put that one up too high, so I'm gonna move it down a little bit. There we go. And they stick, they go into the tack board. They hold really well. You can just take a piece of paper and take one of your tacks and just tack it right on there. And then you've got your notes right there. So thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have fun making your own tack board and your own tacks. And I hope that you all stick around for just a minute. I almost messed up, to see what we need for next week. Hold on. Okay, I'm back to show you what we're going to need for next week. Next week, we are going to need the glass gems. And if you kind of notice, these have a teensy bit of a green tint to them, but they are very see-through. Now, they also have the clear glass gems that almost have like that holographic, like top to them, so that when you turn them like this, they like turn different colors and everything. Those do not work well for what we're going to do. We are going to make picture gems, and we are also going to make flower centers. And so we will also need some bling. I picked up two. You can pick up any colors that you want, and clear nail polish to attach our pictures. And then at the very beginning of the series, we picked up a strong adhesive. So if you have a strong adhesive, you don't need to pick one up. Otherwise, I would pick up a strong adhesive like this. Not the tiny tubes of super glue. This is more of a gel type super glue, and it's a good size. So this is from the Dollar Tree. So you're going to need a strong adhesive, which you should hopefully already have in your pack. And then you're going to need a clear nail polish. Make sure it's not like nail dry or something. Make sure it's actually nail polish. A couple of blings and some rocks. And then we're going to have $1 left over if this is what we need to get. So we're going to put that $1 away. So we're going to start actually saving. So I'm going to mark it in my book that as of week 9, we will have an extra $1. And also then you're going to need some kind of cutouts from magazines, just different newspapers, anything that you have that has some pretty little pictures on it. Collect those up too for next week. So I hope that you enjoyed making the tack board and making all the different little tacks. I hope that you have fun doing that. And I now hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.